Hi, I'm Trooper Smacka.
Hi, I'm Trooper Wellman,
Please stay tuned for a behind-the-scenes look at being a state trooper.
and together we can make a difference.
Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios with another edition of Trooper Talk. We have Trooper Sasena and we have Corporal Niswanger. It was hard to pronounce, but I got it.
Yeah, it was good.
All right. Part of what we do on the Trooper Talk is very special. And it's special in very sentimental ways. Yesterday, I got a visit from someone that was very special. Johnny, where's that picture? Right here. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Sergeant Smacka's mother.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, Sergeant Smacka's mother is a watcher of the show, former law enforcement, her and her husband, and we love them. And so yesterday, I was at the store, and they said, "Boss, somebody go to window 4." And I went to window 4, and she was there, and she says, "You don't recognize me?" And I said, "Yes," and it was her. And she brought me this bouquet. Now, she wrote me this card, and this is what I've been saying that has been very suspenseful for me, is that I didn't open it.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Now, I knew you were coming on today because we had a conversation, and so I want you to know how special it is that for me, being able to share this with you both is the most special part of my day. And so we're going to open this now on the air, and it says, "If we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, our whole life would change. Dear Neil, you have really made a positive influence on our great city, showing what law enforcement is doing to make us safe. Thank you for your kindness and being positive voice for the men and women who work to keep us safe. Frank and Darla, a.k.a. Sergeant Travis Smacka's mom and dad." Okay, so I want you gentlemen to know that we talk about the leadership, and that the leadership from that down is one of the things that sets the Nevada State Police aside from everyone else. And so I just want to know, so our viewers know, what being a corporal, what being a part of the Nevada State Police family means to you.
All right, so we'll start with the corporal aspect. First off, corporal is probably one of the best positions that you can have in the department, because we are the front line whenever it comes to taking somebody from that civilian life and turning them into a Nevada State Police trooper or officer, depending on which division they work for. So we get to be the front line in developing this person from nothing into a police officer. We have a lot to do with how they grow, how they develop, the types of positive characteristics that they take with them from the academy onto the street whenever they start working either in a marked police car with the highway patrol or an unmarked police car with the parole and probation division. So it's very fulfilling to be a corporal at the academy, because you get to have a part of developing these people into something much better than, or much greater than themselves, which is being a member of this agency. Working for this agency is absolutely incredible. We have so many different responsibilities that we do out there, either protecting people on the highway, making sure that people abide by the conditions of their parole or probation, protecting state buildings, doing investigations with the fire marshal's office, whatever it is. I mean, this agency, we can say a lot about this agency compared to other people. There's other agencies that they just don't have the depth of the depth of the
the depth of the fact of what it is of all the different properties that are underneath this umbrella.
correct. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, finish what you were saying.
So with the Nevada State Police, we just have so much that we do for the community in terms of all the divisions put together. And I think that it's really special that we get to work for an agency like this, that we are the state police. We have the jurisdiction of the entire state. So no matter where I go in Nevada, I'm part of that law enforcement family, that law enforcement community. And I think that's something that is really, really awesome.
It's a good thing he works for the academy because he could certainly get a job doing that, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
this is tremendous. Normally, I would say look into the camera right here and do that, but I mean, tremendous. And you know, again, when it comes to the answer, you know, it's all about the family, right? It's like it's all about how you can help someone grow, and so the depth of gratitude that you must feel, which is sort of like, it's been very tough because I've really tried, and we're developing a friendship between Trooper Cesena and I. And so knowing that Trooper Wellman was here for 2.5 years and that she went off to a better thing is very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I only want the best, but like my friend is like, you know what I mean? And so I was texting her, but I want the best for what we're doing, you know? And so like one of the coolest and the best parts about what has happened over the past couple weeks is that Trooper Cesena and I have really like understood each other in like this cool way. Like there's a depth to him that I don't even know. And so it's cool, you know? And so when we talk about the EVOC thing and, you know, there's a lot of different things. And so, but for you, the admiration that you must feel when you're doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden that trooper then sort of grows to themselves, like you must feel even better about your, not that you do it for that, but like, geez, I really am doing it the right way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, like I said, when we have people that come to the academy on their first day, and you get an idea as to what kind of person they are in that first day, and then you look 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road after that 28 weeks of academy training, and you think to yourself, this person I wasn't really sure about, but now they're an amazing officer. Yeah. They took what we were teaching them at the academy and ran with it and turned into this person that I would be more than happy to work the street with, having my back, protecting me as we're out there doing the job together. And it's something special. It really is.
You know, what's interesting is this, I'm a gemologist, and the other day, I'm a gemologist for just under 30 years. And so I had a teacher who took me under his wing when I was at school, and it was very difficult for me to read and understand, but like if you taught me, I was able to learn a lot better. I'm just one of those type of people. And so like I was looking at his thing, like, you know, because he still works for GIA and stuff like that, and it was like, wow, like he's still doing it, and like one of the attributes is exactly like you said. And so like it's cool to look back on that, like now 30 years later almost, and go, that guy was new to becoming an instructor, like we were his first class, and now it's 30 years later and he's doing the same thing. Trooper Cesena, you know, we always talk about what the badge means, and we need to humanize the badge. We need to make sure that the badge is not something of fear, you know, that, you know, it's something there to protect you. And when someone sees that, they should run towards that if they need some form of protection, right?
Yeah.
You know, Captain Munoz, you know, said to me 2 weeks ago, you know, talk about the human trafficking, right? You know, like if someone is in fear, they should know that that's what they can run to if they need help.
Right.
You're a newer officer,
Yeah.
a newer trooper, and so you know, you went through the academy, and so now you're doing what you're doing. You've been on the road, and so talk to us about, you know, these last couple of years, like just exactly like he's saying, from the fact of now you've graduated the academy, and now you're on the road and doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, so I've been here for a little over 4 years now. When I went to the academy, I had no previous law enforcement job, no military experience or anything like that. So I just came from working at the airport. So I came in here knowing that I wanted to help my community, knowing that I wanted to make a difference out there, but I had zero law enforcement experience. So, you know, I was very nervous and everything going into the academy. But every corporal that I've met through the academy has been amazing as far as teaching us. They teach us all the way from how to break us down to, you know, start building up our leadership, all the way to be able to work as a team and have teamwork and, you know, be able to work with each other well. So when we go out there, we're still able to carry that leadership and that teamwork and helping to, you know, help others out there. The classes, the studying, all that, it just prepares you to be a trooper, and they prepare you so when you go out there, you can make a difference by knowing the law, by learning how to, you know, deal with different situations in front of you, by working well with others, asking for help, assisting others. So it's a great training. It's a great time at the academy, especially when you're not knowing anything. But throughout the time, I mean, it's just it's a wonderful experience. And then the accomplishment of you finishing the academy, not just for me, but for the corporals, it's amazing, because we get to shake our hands at the end of the ceremony and say, we did it. Hey, you did it. And it's just, we get to work with them. I've been working with him a couple of times with Corporal Neiswanger on the EVOC, because he also teaches EVOC. So it's been great. Right. I've learned a lot of things from him, and it's where I am on EVOC because of him. So corporals have a lot of roles, and not just in the academy-wise, but also in the roadway. So it's perfect that we still have that communication with them.
Right. That's when we talked when you were here the last time.
Mm-hmm.
All about that EVOC, because that EVOC stuff is really, it's not only interesting, but like I think that more people don't realize that they're not on a racetrack. You know, they right. think that, you know, the 215 is the racetrack to wherever, and they don't realize that, you know, you don't mess around on these roads. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you know, that they're very dangerous. And so, you know, there's things that can be on the road, you know, that the roads are cold, like we talked about, you know, all these things. And so I thank you both for coming here today. You know what I mean? It really means a lot to me. And I want to get into more of the academy stuff.
Okay.
Okay. We're always trying to get more troopers on the road. You know, one of the things is that with the pay raise mm-hmm. and with the different things that you can do now to get a little bit of extra bonus, you know, all those things are important. Do you, without getting personal, do you, because you're a corporal, then you get a bonus on top of the pay raise then, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Right, and so that's really positive
mm-hmm.
because there might be people who are very interested in teaching, who are very good teachers, right, that, like you said, are maybe at home, and they're looking for some way to change. So do me a favor, and then you can do the same in Spanish. I love that he talks in the Spanish, you know what I'm saying? All right, so look into this camera here. And then we'll get to some pictures. But tell everyone that, you know, what it is that they can prepare themselves for, because it's not easy. It's not like it's a walk in the park and thank you very much. Mm-hmm. It's not very easy. But the gratification that you would feel at the end and the positivity that you're part of this overall family is so important. And so that's something that you can speak directly to, because you know what it's like the first day. We've seen those videos when they come in the suit and the tie and all that. Yep. And it's like, okay, now the game is over, right?
Right.
Okay. Tell us the situation right in here, and then tell us about NevadaStatePolice.com.
Okay. So preparing for the academy, there's a number of different things that needs to happen. First, you need to be prepared physically. To get into the academy, it's going to be very demanding. You have to pass a post physical preparedness readiness test, okay, or PPRT. So there's a number of different events that are part of that PPRT. So you have to make sure that you are able to physically handle the task of coming to the academy, running, doing different upper body workouts, all kinds of things. You also have to be prepared mentally. You have to prepare yourself, and I tell this to people all the time whenever they come and they do the pre-hire testing at the academy. You have to prepare yourself mentally, not just you, but you also have to prepare your family as well too. So you yourself have to be in a certain mindset to get yourself through the academy. It has to be a I'm not going to quit attitude, okay? No matter what happens in the academy, you have to tell yourself, this is what I want. This is where I want to be. I'm here. I made it to the academy. I made it beyond all of these other people that didn't quite get there. I'm in the class now. This is what I want. I have to do this. And then you also have to tell your family there's going to be long nights. There's going to be weekends. There's going to be studying at home. You may have to put your family second at that point, so you get yourself through the academy and make it to that graduation day where you are up there shaking hands of corporals and wearing that badge and showing that pride. And anybody that's interested in coming to our agency, visit nevadastatepolice.com, fill out an application. If you feel that you're mentally prepared, physically prepared to take on the demanding challenges of police work, fill out an application. We need good people.
And, you know, one of the cool things is that when I've been to the ceremonies, and Johnny and I love to come when they do the retirements and then also the promotion ceremonies, right? Mm-hmm. One of the cool things is that they always recognize the spouse, right? And because they know that how difficult it is to get to the point of where they're at, that when they become a sergeant or when Captain Munoz became a captain, you know, they always recognize the spouse, they recognize the family, because they know that it's not going to be easy in order to get to that point. And there's going to be times when, you know, it's a very difficult thing, but at the end of the day, you have to really want it, right?
Yes, of course.
And so, you know, that's what someone really has to see, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
All right, now it's your turn in Spanish.
Okay.
Right? Now, see, one of the things that we've really gotten to the point is that each time somebody comes, we're really taking Trooper Talk to the next place. We're taking it to the next level so that people really understand. Because now with competitive pay, now with the extra incentives, you know, there can be a considerable amount of change that someone is willing to not only laterally move over, but, you know, for someone who's new that maybe is just interested in making a change in their life, and, you know, now is a great time. And so now it's your turn in Spanish.
Talk about the academy.
Yeah,
and the
we'll
hiring
talk
process.
about the academy, and then talk about go to Nevada State Police when they want to work for the fire marshal or anything like that. They all start with the academy,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Okay,
An
so
academy,
they all start with the academy.
Okay. Si usted está interesado en servir a su comunidad y alguna vez ha querido ser un policía y está interesado en eso, nosotros tenemos una academia, 2 academias al año. Puede aplicar a nevadastatepolice.com, puede hablar con uno de nosotros, puede ir con nosotros en un ride-along para ver lo que hace un policía a través de su día. Y si usted está interesado, tenemos academias. Esas academias consisten de muchos ejercicios. Tiene que estar físicamente preparado, mentalmente preparado. Tiene que usted prepararse para poder enfocarse en la academia y poder graduarse y servir a la comunidad. Si usted está interesado, por favor, aplique ahora a nevadastatepolice.com.
Yeah, and I don't understand Spanish. I was.
I got a few words. That's
right.
about it.
Like, you know what I mean. I never did good in that when I was in school. But here's the thing. Like, I heard ride along, right, which, you know, someone can do. You know, there's a lot of things that someone can do, and we never talked about the fact of pre-academy. I never knew there was a thing of a pre-academy, right? But before the pre-academy, then someone can have a conversation and say, I'm interested in doing this. I don't know. I want to do a ride along for whatever and see what it's like. And so that's something that someone can do.
Yeah.
And so that's very important.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a couple of ride-alongs over the past few weeks, and yes, they show interest and everything, and what they want to do is to learn more about it. What do we do on a daily basis and everything? So it's a great end for them to be able to see, oh my God, this is what a trooper does and everything. And obviously you start answering their questions and everything, and they start getting more interested. And there's been at least 2 people that I've gone to ride-alongs that they're in the process of joining the next academy that's coming up. So it's a really great feeling that they know that they like what they saw, they want to help, they want to put in the work, and they're willing to do the process and everything. And they started filling out their application process for it. So it's a great, very great feeling.
And they like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it comes from that, just like you. You know what I'm saying? If they don't like you, they may hate you at some points, I'm sure. But like they have to like you, and they have to see your vision. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I noticed your bracelet. What is that? Can I ask?
So I wear a bracelet that kind of remembers some of the friends that I had that I lost on the department. I worked for a couple of different agencies before I came to the Nevada State Police, and like one guy I went to the academy with, one guy I was good friends with, and he died in a on-duty motorcycle crash, and then the third one is Trooper May. So I just kind of wear my bracelet every day as kind of a reminder to myself, bad things can happen in this job, and you got to do everything you can to go home to your family.
Wow. It's I would do the same. You know what I'm saying? I would. Well, I'm sorry for your losses. You know what I'm saying?
That.
I didn't know the others, but Trooper May, right? We've had Joanna on here, and it was very special. We had her. We had Christina from the Nevada Donor Network, and it was the first time that she opened up about what she experienced that day and everything like that. We have it all on film. And so it's very important. And so, being in the academy, and I'll get to the pictures right now, Johnny. Yeah. This is very interesting. Part of that is the fact that we want to talk about that we don't want anyone to have to put anybody into that position where they have to put stop sticks or they have to do these type of things, and that like if something happens, you're like if the lights come on, just pull over, like you know what I mean, like they got you, and so like whatever it is, and so it's just not worth it. One of the things that I wanted to do was, if anybody sent any YouTube comments, I wanted to show them, because one of the things that I want you to know is that everyone loves you. Everyone supports you. Everyone thinks that you're doing a fantastic job. And for the ones that don't, it's okay. But the important thing is that we just have to keep doing the best job that we can. And we have to stay on our mission. And so, TV program, Here's to Know Your Officers, right? This is just one person, and I want to highlight a different comment every single week. And so people can go onto the YouTube, onto Trooper Talk. But it's important to know that when you're out there, that everyone supports what it is that you're doing. And that what you're doing is not easy. Okay? Now, I saw that your car was do they consider that like the ghost car, or because it doesn't have anything on it?
It's an unmarked car.
Unmarked, okay. So they're blowing past you at 100 miles an hour, no questions asked, because they don't even know who you are.
It
right?
happens,
You're smiling because you know, right?
Yeah.
Now, impaired driving and speed, 2 main things that are causing the fatalities.
That's correct.
Once we combine them, it's just utter disaster. So let's sort of take them separate for the moment, okay? Let's talk about that EVOC course, okay? You check the pressure of the tires. You know how the car handles.
Yep.
You've driven the car, X number of times to know that when you turn the steering wheel a quarter turn this way, it's going to jerk this way, but then, you can fishtail the back end to do whatever, like all these different things that your mind doesn't have to think because you've done it over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you're shaking your head because it's the same, right? And so when a person is taking their car, and I believe that their tires are only rated to go 70 or 85 miles an hour or something like this, and they're blowing past you at 120, they are putting everyone's life at risk. Because if someone calls on the phone and says, person in X car or truck or whatever is going really fast, and you have to go lights and sirens to go catch that person, and you have to now, maneuver around other cars to try to catch this. It's just not what the roads were designed for. You practice this so you know what a car does.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who just drives a car on a regular basis and may speed is not the same thing as your training, right?
That's correct. I mean, you can be out on the road and you can have as much experience as any race car driver, but you can't account for what somebody else is going to do. So you may be driving 120 miles an hour on the freeway and feel, I'm good to go, I've driven these speeds a number of times, I'm going straight, no problem. Until that person makes a lane change in front of you that you didn't expect, and now it's a completely different world. Like, we talk in driver training all the time about two things. One, keep a stable platform, especially at high speeds, because any small input into the brake, the accelerator, the steering wheel of a car is going to upset that platform. And if you do too much at one time, you're going for a ride, and it's not the ride that you want to go. And number two, you can't beat physics. We as human beings, we can do whatever we want to control that car. But as soon as physics takes over and it's not what you want to do, you're just along for the ride at that point. So I urge people to drive within the speed limit. Drive for your safety and the safety of other people. Like, we talk about zero fatalities all the time. Make that your mission. There's nothing that is so important that you need to get to that is going to require you to go above the posted speed limit, okay? People that are way smarter than us are out there engineering these roadways for a specific speed. If the roadway was meant to be traveled at 100 miles an hour, the speed limit would be 100 miles an hour, but it's not. It's 65. We keep it at 65 because that's what's safest for everybody. Still get to where we need to go, but manage your time better. If you got to get there in a hurry every morning, maybe try leaving 10 or 15 minutes earlier than what you normally do. So you don't have to put yourself in that position. You don't have to put other people on the road in that position. You can get to where you need to go safely, and everybody goes home to their family.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first got my car, I went around to get onto the freeway, and I went around the curve like this, and I didn't understand how to do the shifting and stuff in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went around and I dropped down to a lower gear, and the car went like this, and because I was at a very low speed because I was turning, the car almost it was going towards the wall. And so I called the guy and I said, what am I not doing right here? Right? And his response was, it's called disruption of chassis. So you say stable environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I understood before, but now I understand even in a greater capacity, because when you disrupt, and so they said to me that there was a person that had a Corvette that they spun the car like that because they when they were going around the corner, they jerked the back end, and the only thing it could do was, like you said, you're sort of along for the ride at that point. And so maybe you can, and I was very thankful in my life that the car went like this, but it was very scary. You know what I mean? And so, like, I totally understand what you're saying. And so, the instability, let's sort of talk about that, right? That instability causes the car, when you're going around the curve and the car is like this, right? You know, those people in those little cars, you know, it's just not safe. Or the truck, you know, I mean, when I drive the truck, that thing's like a missile. You know, with the car, like it's sort of in the same capacity as your Charger, right? Not as like high up, a little bit higher than what you drive, but it's the same thing. But it's, you know, you have to recognize the road, and you have to drive at a speed that you're not being unstable. Which is again, I'm very excited you're here, because this is something that we never talked about before, the instability, right? And then we never talked about the fact of the laws of physics.
Right.
And so he taught you,
Yes.
okay? And so he is allowing your career and what you do to go to another level, because you're able to take the training of what he did, and you're able to say, okay, like, now I can practice this. Like, I can become a better trooper by what someone taught me.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's, again, I come to the leadership, right? If the leadership is able to train, and they're able to train in the right way, you know, everyone is then equal. And so it allows someone, even as only been on the department for 4 years, but you've accomplished so many things. And that comes again back to the leadership.
Yes.
And so, you know, we always talk about the person that you can call when you're really stressed, right? And that comes back to the leadership. And so, I just think it's very interesting, and to be able to have both of you formulate that is something that you don't get a chance to see.
That's great.
And so you're smiling over there next to someone that taught you, and
Yeah.
so it's just very admirable. So anyway,
Yeah.
maybe I got a little giddy. I don't know.
No,
you
it's-
know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
it's-
But it's very cool. You know what
It
I mean?
is.
I love it when people come on and you know that they do get along. It's not just a show.
Yes.
And so people can see that and they can feel that. And
Yeah.
so anyway, that's what people can see, and so we're very proud of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because how long you been doing evoc for?
I started in 2012.
So he's been doing evoc for a long time, and I haven't hit a year as an evoc instructor. So I learned everything from him. So I can say I'm more confident on knowing my vehicle, knowing my capabilities of driving, and knowing that I can teach that to other cadets that are coming into the academy, so they can feel better and they can feel that confidence of, like, we take them to the track and we give them to where they can push their cars to the limit and then work their way down to their 80% of their capabilities of the car, so they know how the vehicle handles, they know how to take proper turns, they know the speed that they need, they know about how to brake on a straight line, input most of the braking on a straight line, and we teach them all these things so they can be able to control the vehicle in an event that they do respond to a call or something. They know, because they've done it, they've done the training, so they know when they're in that situation, they know what to do exactly. And I mean, I learned a lot from him, and that's why you see me smiling, because I've loved the training that he provided, along with the rest of the evoc instructors, was great. Very useful, very helpful. There was a lot of things that I did not know. So me not knowing it now and me wanting to input that information to the new cadets with assisting him, it's great. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, and we had Trooper Thayer on here. You know what I mean? Like with the motorcycle and you know what I mean, and all,
Yeah.
you know, and the buttons and the thing and the switches, and you know what I mean. Like again, it's really great, and it really comes down to the fact of the training that they're able to do and they're able to receive at that academy is able to then prepare them and I don't mean to say them, but you know, they're able to prepare all the troopers for whatever it is that they need. You know what I mean? Like, and I come back to like when I had Sergeant Parachek, and you know, like I always come back to like, you know, him saying to me, you know, this is where I'm here to do business. When I leave my house, I can't take anything else with me. I can only have what's in my car. And so these are things that they have to mentally prepare. And so if they're not getting that preparedness from the academy, then they go out on the road and they can't do it. And so that's what's cool, is that you always see the troopers and they're always exactly the same and they're always prepared. And so it's fantastic. You know what I mean? All right, let's see what Johnny has from this one. All right. The 28th, then we're going to be there. You gentlemen going to be there?
Yep.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to have him come on the Trooper Talk again for not being there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is going to be really cool. All I know is that they're decorating some things, and there's aliens, and there's all these things, but it's kid friendly.
It is.
People can come there. They can spend time. The families can meet all the troopers,
Yes.
and everybody's there to just have a good time. And so this is a safe place. And we want everyone to know that when they come to the Southern Command, or any place for Nevada State Police, but I'm just saying specifically that, you know, there's somebody there to answer a question. What do I do about this? You know what I mean? There's kids there. I'm sure that if somebody had a question about a car seat, somebody could probably help them or something like that, right?
Yeah,
you know, like all these type of things that the Nevada State Police does, and Trooper Wellman's going to be there.
Yes.
Right.
So this is a great opportunity for us to give back to the community by doing this event. Last year was great. So this year we're trying to do it even better. And so we have a lot of things lined up. We have a maze. It's going to be alien themed, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's kids friendly, family friendly, and of course we're always going to be there to answer any questions that they have. For this is the time, or any time, but this time will be perfect time for us to interact with each other, know each other. They know the troopers who are patrolling their valley and keeping them safe. So it's going to be a great opportunity to interact not only with kids, but with parents as well.
Yeah, and we ordered all the lighted up LEDs.
That's right. Yeah.
For the little pumpkins and stuff.
Yeah, they
like
look really
that.
cool.
And so you know, this is going to be a great event. It's on the 28th on a Saturday. Congratulations to Mike Edgel on his retirement. You know, one of the cool things about working for an agency and then getting to the point of the retirement is that you've worked along friends for a long time, and it's got to be a very difficult emotional moment. I have a friend who works for a different agency, and he's a lieutenant, and he's worked for the agency for 30 years, and he's retiring in a month. Right? And so I keep saying to him, oh, I'm done, I'm done. And I go, yeah, but I'm not an officer, right? And so like I think of like danger, and I'm the guy that's running to the back. Like I'm not running forward, but like I want to do everything I can to support the ones that are running in a forward direction. And so when someone retires, it's sort of a surreal moment, right? Like when you're at the academy and you look at somebody, you're not at the point where you've trained someone and then they've retired, have you?
No, not yet. No.
Okay, and so like it's got to be cool. Like, look, I trained this guy, we did this, and then he worked for a thing, and it's got to be a tremendous sense of accomplishment. And so one of the things that's really cool is that the hierarchy of the Nevada State Police, I've seen it many times, they support this. And so it's not like, oh, you're leaving, have a good day, and that's the end of it. We had Colonel Carpenter, Ann Carpenter, come on, right? And she did it after she retired because she was so busy, like right before and all that type of stuff. Because it meant so much to just come on and just, spread the word. And so, congratulations on the retirement. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of you gentlemen are anywhere near that. You know what I'm
Still got a
saying?
little ways
Yeah,
to
still
go,
a ways
yes.
to go.
But let's talk about the fact. So, how long have you been with the department?
I've been with the Nevada State Police for 8 years, and I've been a police officer for 18.
18. And so, without getting into other departments and things of that nature, obviously there's differences between different departments and stuff of that nature. From what I've heard, one of the things that's really cool is the flexibility by being able to have the take-home car, right? You get the take-home car, right?
That's correct.
And so as soon as you leave, you're signed on. And so where other agencies don't have that, right?
That's correct. Before I worked here, I worked for just an urban local agency. And it was just like that. You would have to drive your personal car into work. You'd have to go to the locker room, get your uniform on, get your stuff ready for the day, hit roll call. And after you got done with roll call, you were assigned a beat area. And that small little tiny area was the only place that you were patrolling the entire day, unless you got called out to assist somebody with something else, but you stayed in your beat area. Unlike here with the state police, you can go anywhere in the city. You can go anywhere in whatever county you work for. If you're working in Elko, you've got all of Elko County to go through if you want to. So you're not tied down to one small area. And there's something to be said about that kind of freedom. There's something to be said about being able to go out there and go where you want and do what you want, as compared to, well, I know you like working over here, but you're not quite senior enough to work over there yet, so we're going to put you over here instead, and you just get to work that area and make the best of it. So,
and then you're mobile definitively because you're in your car, right? And so as soon as you leave and you go, you go, not to say home, but you leave the academy, you're still in your work car, right? And if there's a problem, the air conditioning goes out. You know what? Right? You're laughing
because it's happened many times.
Okay. You take it to the garage, right? And so you're not having to burn the money and all that those type of personal resources that you would if that car wasn't yours, right?
That's correct. Yeah, having a take-home car is invaluable. I mean, the not just for the fact that you get to save money on driving your own car, like gas or maintenance or whatever too, but just being able to take action on your way into work, on your way home from work. Like that was one thing that I didn't really like whenever I was working for a local agency where I had a fleet vehicle, was that once I was done and I was on my way home in my personal car, if something happened in front of me, the best I could do was get on the telephone and call for an on-duty officer, hopefully maybe was in the area to help me. And if not, there just wasn't really much I could do. But now in this capacity, if I have a take-home car and I'm on my way home and I see something happen in front of me, I can do something about it. Whether it's taking that drunk off the road or pulling somebody over for speeding and trying to get them to slow down. Things that you just don't think about when you don't have a take-home vehicle.
Yeah, I never thought about that. And we talked the last time, not to bring up something personal that I learned from you, but you've gotten in an accident very close to the house.
Yes.
Does that mean not in the state police car, in your personal vehicle, right? And so a lot of accidents happen close to somebody's house. You know what I mean? And so being able to sort of have that capability that if something happened, which I never thought about, right? Like, yeah, it probably would drive you crazy. If you worked all day protecting an area,
Yes.
right? You had to protect an area, which probably made your head crazy, right? Because you couldn't leave this area. But then once you got to the point that you had the freedom, and then all of a sudden you saw something happen, and you know, like, that's who you are, to protect and to do, but you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I can't
Yeah.
even think the number of times I've, on my way home, I've done my 10 hours, I'm on my way home and everything, and I run into a crash that's on the surface streets. Again, because I have a car, I take a vehicle, I'm able to safely block, or if they're blocking an intersection or a traffic lane or something, I'm able to get behind them, turn my lights on, contact either, sometimes we'll even take it ourselves, sometimes we'll call Metro to come handle, since it's on their jurisdiction, or another trooper that can come in. So we have a lot of more room to play when we're going home and we have our take-home vehicle, because obviously we don't want to leave, we don't want to just drive past it, and especially if they're blocking a lane or an intersection, we don't want another crash to happen. So the fact that we're able to assist on that way, yes, you're probably going to get home a little bit late, but you're helping in that situation right now. And it's always, you can tell when you get there that the people smile. They get happy, like, oh my God, thank God someone's here to help.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling for them that we're there to help if we need to contact medical, or tow trucks, or if we can even safely move them to the right shoulder so they're not a hazard for the other traffic, then we can do so, and then we can just go home. And, you know,
Yeah.
if we work a little bit of overtime doesn't hurt.
No, and I wasn't thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I will tell you that one of the things that we've learned, right? And Trooper Senna and I have to make sure that we carry on the torch, as they say, to make sure that we never talk about an accident. We always talk about a crash. Right? And so anyway, the thing from the local TV station, and that's what the article that I asked Johnny about earlier, it said 3 crashes. And so I was thinking about you because of the word crash.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, congratulations on that. And what did he do? This is cool. I heard. I've never seen a video of what they do.
That was when they went over to the competition, right?
Yeah.
So we've had him on the show. The sergeant, he goes out with well, now he's Lieutenant Campbell with the joining forces, you know, who is for the Clark County School District Police, right? I saw all these buttons that are on this motorcycle, and so, like, it's too much to comprehend. And so, like, I think that I work really hard, and I do a lot of things, and, like, in my business is all mental, right? You know, you make a mistake, and it's, you know, could be thousands of dollars. It's really a lot. And when he was showing me, you know, the guys on the opposite side of the road, and they can, like, they have the thing, and they have the radars, and it was really a lot. And so to know that they ride and that they're next to each other and that they're doing, and it was really cool. We had the motorcycle here, and we were sort of talking over the motorcycle. It was just like a surreal moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people get to, you know, I don't even know what kind of gun it was, but whatever kind of gun was on the back of the motorcycle.
The rifle.
The rifle, right?
Yeah.
Like, how many people get to have a conversation with a guy that, and he was very modest. Like, that Trooper Thayer is like, he's like you. You know, like, he doesn't show very much emotion, right? But it's cool because, like, you could tell that, just like you, just a cool guy. Just a regular guy, just, you know, want to have fun, you know, all these type of things. And when you put on the badge, it's a job. But that job goes for 24 hours a day. But it's just a matter of, you know, sometimes you have the uniform on and sometimes not. But I don't think people realize that. Like, I don't think that people realize that people that wear the badge, like, they're a person that you know, maybe you want to have a hot dog with, that, you know, on a Saturday, or you have a picnic. You know what I mean? Like, that they're real people.
Yeah.
And so I think that if people realize that the humanization of that badge, they wouldn't want to put anybody into that position, because they'd be like, look, this is just a regular guy or a regular woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's very important. And so when you teach at the academy, right, you, which we've heard, you know, you have to break the person down so that you can build them back up to be that strong warrior, right? Like, how do you get to the point of you know, really doing that and making sure that you're doing it in the right capacity?
So the fortunate part for us is that the U.S. military has been doing the same thing for years and years and years. So we take, in our paramilitary style, we take a lot of things from military training, the way that we break people down, the way that we build them back up. The first thing that they need to realize is that teamwork is everything in this job. Like, we can't accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in this agency by ourselves. Because if so, this department would be one person, and that would be it. But we need everybody to work together. So they come to realize very quickly in the academy, I can't do this by myself. I have to have the other cadets in the academy class on board with me, doing the same task for us to accomplish whatever mission we have in front of us. So we start at ground zero. These cadets, they know nothing about police work, or maybe know a little bit about police work. Maybe they had a family member that was a police officer before, but in reality, they haven't yet seen what maybe that family member who was a police officer has seen. You know, maybe they got a little snippet here, a little snippet there, by just listening to them talk about, hey, this is what happened in my job today. So we start them at that ground zero level. And we make sure that we remove all their bad habits, okay? And we make them realize that there's certain things, certain traits that you have to have in this job to accomplish the mission and go home to your family at night. One of them being attention to detail. That's something that we harp on very much at the academy. And it could be anything. It could be just the appearance of your shoes. Or do you have little strings hanging off your uniform in different places that you missed? Because we need them to understand that attention to detail is everything. Attention to detail could be the difference between you going home at night or missing the gun that the person had and you not going home at night. So we instill different things into them like this all through the academy to make sure that by the time they graduate, they have the minimum tools that they need to do the job and go home to their families.
And, you know, when we talk about that, that means all the different things that you have. Now, off camera, you have your vest.
I do.
With all these different things, and you know what I mean? Like, and so, you know, the batons and the rounds and we talked about the gloves. Remember, we talked about those the first time you were on. You know what I mean? Like, all these type of things that, again, I'm not an officer, right? So that's one of the things that you would have to. You'd be like, oh my goodness, I forgot that I loaded bullets in my thing, right? Like, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
Because if you do, then you might not go home.
And in the 18 years that I've been on the job, everything has changed. Like, there's different things that we're wearing now that we didn't necessarily have when I first started. When I first started, tasers weren't really a mainstream thing. It wasn't something that I carried until maybe 3 or 4 years on the job, I think, is when I got my first taser. But then again, it was you check it out at the beginning of the shift, you check it back into the armory at the end of the shift, and then the next shift coming on gets to use those tasers as well, and you just hope that that day there's enough for everybody to get one. unlike today where here we're issued one. You carry it everywhere that you go. You always have it. You know, people weren't really thinking that much about latex gloves whenever I first started. I mean, yeah, people had them, but it wasn't as mainstream of a thought like what it is today. Thinking about all the bodily fluids that we could come in contact with, and something that we need to protect ourselves. It's just little changes. So the belt definitely gets heavier as you go through.
Yeah.
There's no question.
And let me ask you, and then I got a question for you. But when you're in the academy, because there's a TV show that I watch every week that has the live police officers and stuff like this, right? And so one of the things that they're always concerned with is not only to put on those latex gloves, but one of the things that has really come on in the last, I don't know, maybe year or two or whatever it's been, has been this fentanyl, right? And so the latex gloves, and I bring it up because you know, like the fentanyl, it's not something you can touch. Like it's horrible stuff. And so when it comes to being prepared, it can be the littlest thing, like the latex gloves, that if you forget and you touch this stuff, it could end your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absorbed through the skin. And that was something that when I started, nobody was talking about fentanyl. Fentanyl wasn't anywhere near what it is today. And now it seems that fentanyl is everywhere. So just those little things that we teach cadets in the academy, like using personal protective equipment, because you don't know what you're going to deal with. You have no idea when you're searching a car what kinds of things are in those cars, because people, they carry everything in their car. I've seen people that have bowls of SpaghettiOs in the center console. I mean, they carry everything in their cars. So you don't know. So it's better to make sure that you have the equipment and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, and and I was going to say that exactly that, and without going into specifics, one of the things that you're trained with is the human trafficking, which is that you're able to then decipher by certain things that you're able to talk with people inside of vehicles or wherever, because human trafficking everywhere, but I know specifically in Las Vegas, is a really big problem.
It is.
And we don't talk about it very much. And so one of the things that when you're, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but when you are when you have to pull someone over, that's one of the things that you look for, because this is very prevalent. So it's not just the drugs and all these other things. It's a matter of the human trafficking as well, right?
Yeah, and this goes back to all the way to the academy. We go through extensive training on how to talk to people, how to pay attention to detail, how to be observant, how to put yourself out there to be able to investigate whatever's going on, how to be able to control the stop or whatever it is that you're trying to investigate. So it goes all the way from the academy, and just knowing what to ask, how to ask, knowing what to look for. And this is all things and tricks that we pick up from the academy from day one. Same thing goes for us, DUI investigations, crash investigations, drug investigations, and human trafficking investigations. But it's very important for us to do that, because if we miss something, we could be letting something go that needs to be stopped. And that's where we have to be, very meticulous on the way we conduct our investigation and how to properly ask questions. And if everything, we always talk about those like spidey senses that we get. If you get those, there's something based on our experience and the way that we learn stuff through the academy. We know that something's wrong. We just have to get to it, and how to properly ask questions to, slowly start unraveling that little thread that's there's something on here, and this person's not disclosing it. I know there's something wrong. I know that kid is uncomfortable. Why? How can I go about it? How can I save a life? What difference can I make right now? And then you just have to learn how to properly, investigate that situation, and it's very important. And I know we do have a couple of joining forces with our troopers that are, focusing on human trafficking during that time when we're doing the joining forces with it. So it's really great that we have troopers out there that are doing that, because that's some knowledge that they can bring to us, the people who haven't done that, and they might have tips that we can look for whenever we stop a car.
Yeah, and I like that you use the word meticulous. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't do it, then you could miss something.
Yes.
And so that missing something could be tragic for someone, not only from the human trafficking standpoint, but from the drug standpoint or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we talk about speeding and we talk about the impairment, right? We have alcohol, which is legal in the state.
Mm-hmm.
We have marijuana, which is legal in the state.
Mm-hmm.
We have prescription medication, which is legal for the prescribed person,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you have other illicit drugs that are illegal,
Mm-hmm.
that all can put you under impairment. And so any type of impairment is not good.
Correct.
And so when we talk about the alcohol, generally speaking, I don't drink, but, I would imagine that people that do drink, that, they would plan for these type of activities. You know what I'm saying? I don't do the drugs or the marijuana, and so I would imagine that people plan for that. I unfortunately have to take gabapentin for my feet, and so that really sucks. But like, I know what that is, and I don't put myself behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to illicit drugs, I don't do any of that stuff. But the thing is that these all lead to impairment, and when you're under these type of things, you should not be behind the wheel in any capacity whatsoever. And so, even though the legal limit, which is 0.08, I always mess that up, but you can still be impaired, right? And I know they passed that new law where you can what is it? You can be reckless and they can tow your car,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we talked about that the last
we
time. You know what I'm saying? And so, talk to us about reckless driving, and then you talk to us about reckless driving. Go ahead.
All right, so reckless driving. It's very simple. Are you putting yourself in a position where you are a danger to the life, limb, or property of somebody else? If you are, you're driving recklessly. The laws on October 1st changed, where now inclusive in reckless driving is, are you in some type of public show of your vehicle? Are you doing donuts in the middle of a parking lot or in the middle of the street? We have these street takeovers that occur often in this city and all across the country, where people will get together at a different area. They'll basically block off the streets on their own with their own cars or with people, and then they'll start doing show competitions in the middle of the street. Donuts, drifting cars around corners, whatever it is, okay?
Really?
Now, anybody that's in a situation like that where they're participating in that, your vehicle will be impounded, 100%. We just have zero tolerance for that kind of behavior because people get hurt. We watch different videos from different places around the country, and it reminds me of a video that I watched not that long ago of a Georgia state trooper who was in the area of one of these competitions, and this person actually took off and hit two pedestrians on their way away from this location, trying to get away from this police officer, because they were participating in something that was illegal, and they wanted to get away from the police because they didn't want to own up to their responsibility of, yeah, I did this. So two people ended up getting hurt because of it, and this person now went to jail because they were driving in a manner that they didn't need to be driving in. But we see it all the time out here on the freeway. People drive well above the posted speed limit. People are in and out of travel lanes without using turn signals. It all falls under reckless driving. If you're a danger to somebody else or somebody else's property, that's enough to be reckless driving. So people really need to understand that there are serious consequences to driving like this. It's not just you get a ticket and go home anymore. It's getting to the point where you may get a trip to jail and get your vehicle impounded.
And that's what's important.
Yes.
Okay? I don't think that people realize, okay? I think that people think that they see places that fix tickets and do these type of things, that they can drive as fast as they want, and the worst thing that's going to happen is that they're going to get pulled over, and then they're going to have to pay, X number of dollars or whatever, and it's going to get knocked down to a, parking ticket or whatever it is, and, and that's the end of it. And that's not the case. We talk about DUI. Not fun, right?
Nope.
12 hours minimum.
Minimum.
Inside of a place that's not very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
In handcuffs, and all these things. And so I don't know what it's like in the sense of how long, but you're still in handcuffs when you get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
You still have to go to jail,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
right? So you're still going through some formal process. So it's not like, oh, thank you very much and have a good day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that people realize that. Everyone knows that you do DUI or you get impaired and they catch you, you have big trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that they have to spend 12 hours somewhere. But I don't think that people realize when it comes to the reckless driving
Yeah.
that they can get in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something. Do you patrol the roads too? Not really.
I do every once in a while, but most of my responsibility is at the academy.
At the academy. You patrol the roads.
Yeah. That's correct.
So you see these people.
Yes.
Now I see these people in the morning, right? And some of them are just like, I you know what I mean? They're just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, please just leave 15 minutes earlier. You know what I mean? Like you don't need that much sleep. Go to bed a little earlier. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the reckless driving combined with the speeding, right? I mean, I guess I never thought about the fact of reckless driving, doing donuts in the middle of the street. Like, who was going to sit there in the middle of a road and do donuts? But you guys understand that much greater than I.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, this type of activity, that's probably why they did some form of a law like that.
Yeah.
Because not to say you guys, but you're just sick of I'm calling. These guys are doing donuts in the middle of the road. We can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that any person who is a willing participant, even the person that's on the side of the road, who's watching, is that considered the reckless driving too?
So if
Under that new law?
if they are a contributing member to it,
Yes.
then yes, they could fall under the law as well too, and they could be charged accordingly. It's kind of like the old days of organized speed contests where people would street race on a side of the road. If you're there and you're supporting that happening, then it doesn't matter if you're driving a car or not. You can get in trouble for it too.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, obviously, and the thing that we have to make sure of is that you're not out there to cause trouble. We have to make sure that people understand that. That you're doing something because of a choice that someone else made, that you're trying to prevent a tragedy from happening.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the things that we do are very reactionary to what everybody else does. I mean, we're not out there just making things up. These people are truly doing these things in front of us, and we take action based off of the actions of other people. I would love to be in a society or in a world where I could go to work and the only thing I do to have contact with people is say hi to them at the coffee shop in the morning. I would love that. I would love if I didn't have to go out and correct people's driving behavior because everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, we're never going to be living in a perfect world like that. And our job a lot of times is reactionary to what other people are doing.
And that's why you have to prepare when you're doing what you do for anybody who's superseding you to go out on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you have to make sure that he's prepared
Mm-hmm.
for anything, which comes down to the fact of you doing your due diligence
Right.
about being methodical, about making sure that, listen, you know that thread on your shirt is not right. Well, I'll fix it tomorrow. No. That's not the way we do things, right? Like it needs to be fixed immediately, this second now, because otherwise you're going to forget your bullets one day and just go, oh, I'll just do that later when I get home.
Yeah, it's that attention to detail that they carry with them through their entire career, and that's what we try to instill in them at the academy. It might be a thread today, but like you said, tomorrow it is, do you have all the bullets in your magazine or do you only have half of them?
Right. It's very important. You know what I mean? You guys are great. We can sit here and talk forever. Johnny, how long have we been? An hour and a half now? Yeah. Right. All right. Well, we'll keep going. You know what I mean? I'm having a lot of fun. What can I tell you? I know. All right. The Coffee with the Cop event.
This is great.
This is really cool. I love to see the community outreach.
Yeah.
I love to see, when people don't expect, a Trooper Thayer to be like right there at the McDonald's or something. You know what I mean? And so we love it. And we love the fact of any type of community outreach. We know that Nevada State Police is all about the community outreach. How do we do better with the community so that we don't have to put ourselves into a position, maybe not to live in a perfect world, but as perfect as we can get. I tell my guys every day, we strive for perfection every day. We'll never get it. Right, but we strive for that every single solitary day with the most positivity, to really want to make a difference. And so when you see everybody out there, you get excited.
Yeah, it's great to be part of that. I mean, we do all the way from having troopers read to kids at schools to Coffee with a Trooper, and the fact that we're able to do stuff like this is it's awesome because you see that person coming into a drive-thru and then they see a cop give you your coffee and your breakfast sandwich. It's it's a surprise for them, but it's nice for us to receive that smile and give that smile back to them. And we create a bond with them. We're not just out there giving tickets and everything. We also care and we want to show the community that we're there to support you guys, just like you guys are there to support us. So it's a family. We're more closer as a family as at the department, but with everyone out there and everything, we want to make sure that everyone gets home at the end of the night, just as we want to get home at the end of the night. And we want to make sure that, everyone's doing the right thing and having a good time.
Yeah. And with that, that comes from people being responsible, from traveling on the roadways, because there's somebody who's just finishing a shift of work. There's somebody who's just starting a shift at work. There's somebody who's really stressed. There's somebody that's not having a good day. All these things are happening. And, I always look at it like, when I'm driving the car, because, this morning when I was driving to work, I had somebody in a big rig, like one of those 18-wheelers without the back. He was trying to race this morning with me.
No, just the bobtail in front there.
Right. You know what I mean? And so the thing is that, everybody wants to play around.
Of course.
And so the important thing is that we have an inherent responsibility that when we get behind the wheel, that we're not playing around. You know what I mean? We're keeping our eye on the road. I saw a guy I think it was this morning or the other day. He was doing the shaving while he was driving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that must be common, you know what I'm saying? But I can't drive and look down at my phone for more than 2 seconds before all of a sudden there could be catastrophe in front of me.
Yeah.
And so, when we're doing any type of activity, when we are behind the wheel, we need to stop, and so we can focus on what we're doing, because a lot of things can change, which is I'm sure you teach in not only the academy, but when it comes to the EVOC, right? Within the blink of an eye.
Yes.
Right? Like, you could close your eye and you open your eye, and all of a sudden there's a mattress in front of you on the road.
Yeah.
Right? And so what do you do when you're going 80 miles an hour? And so you're all done. You slam on the brakes, the person behind you slams on the brakes, and so we need to be conscious of that. And so it all starts with the fact of the training, and when we see people that are appreciating all the troopers like this, again, it comes back to like the trunk or treat and these type of things, that when you sign up to be a trooper and when you sign up to be part of this family, that it's not just a matter of just going out and writing tickets. It's a matter of making a difference in the community that you're in. It's a matter of taking what you have in your heart and showing that to everyone. Sometimes, you like I come down to, sometimes you have to be a warrior,
Right.
and like you have to assume some form of, to be strong. Yeah. But the thing is that, we want people to know that, that you're human and that you want to talk with them, you want to hang out with them, and you want to give them coffee. And so this is fantastic. I love it. And, we're happy that they did it. And, I didn't get a chance this year. I was very upset. Like I was doing so many things, and I found out about Coffee of the Cop after the day. Like it was like 3 in the afternoon, and some friends stopped by, and they go, yeah, we were with coffee with a cop all day. So, all right, let's see what we got for this National Night Out. Okay, we
See that guy down there in the middle?
yes. Oh, look at that. With your vest on and everything.
Yep, sure did.
All right. So just Johnny, you see that? That's him with his vest on and all that stuff. Okay. The National Night Out is fantastic. We want to do everything we can. When it comes to the kids, okay. What people don't realize is that these kids have a rough life. And so, when I was in school, there was no messing around. Like, I remember, like, the big deal was, like, a couple of guys smoked pot, like, like out in some field or something, and, like, maybe the people, like, they drank beer, right? Like, this was in the 90s, right? Like, what else did you do, right? But in today's world, there was no gangs in my high school or my, you know what I mean? Like, there was none of these type of activities.
Right.
And then you take into account all the, the drugs and all these type of things that the kids have to go through, and, they're just there to learn, right? And so when we look at things like this, it's really, really important, because giving back to the community, giving back to the children, to allow them to be able to grow, I come back to, and I just always say, it's about the leadership. And the leadership of the Nevada State Police says, we want you to go out there. We want you to make sure that you support these children and support what you're doing. And so, I think it's very important. And so, thank you for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really important. I didn't give my pumpkins away there, though. We'll have to make sure we change that for next year.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Because we gave them for other agencies, and I didn't give the Trooper Talk pumpkins. So we'll have to make sure that next year we have them for the trunk or treat, but we didn't do them for this. We'll have to make sure that we have them for the next year.
Yeah.
It's very important. You know what I mean? Like, we have to do everything we can for the children. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, just as you wear your bracelet. You know what I'm saying? In the honor of that, my wife and I are married 23 years. We don't have kids, and so I look at people that have that as it's fantastic. Let's do everything we can to support. You know what I mean? And so, especially like Joanna's 2 young kids that don't have a father now.
Yeah.
right? And they don't have a father because someone made a choice and took someone else's life. And so we want to do everything we can for that. So I'm glad we bring that up, but we have to do that for next year. You know what I mean? Okay. All right. 287 lives lost. I saw a thing on the news the other day that they said that there were more pedestrians killed this year than last year.
I've heard that too. I don't know the full statistics of last year compared to this year, but it seems to be very frequent this year. We've had a lot of, even on our side, on the highway, we get those calls, those auto pits calls, and it seems to be happening a lot frequent. And it's unfortunate that we have to, go to those calls because, I mean, when you compare a car to a person, the outcome's not always going to be the best. So it's not a call that a trooper wants to go to.
Yeah.
But they do seem to be happening a lot more.
We talk about this in the academy a lot too, whenever we're talking about traffic law. And I always tell the cadets, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm right or if the pedestrian's right. I don't want to hit somebody with my car if I can avoid it. So if they're crossing the street and it's against a crossing signal where I would have the right of way, fine. Let them continue to cross the street anyway. I don't want to be in any kind of situation, right or wrong, where I hit somebody else with a car. The unfortunate part is that I feel that some people don't look at it exactly the same way as I do. They look at it as, well, I was right. I'm the one that had the right of way. Sure, but could you have done something to avoid this to begin with? Were you paying attention to your cell phone when you shouldn't have been? Or were you paying attention to what was in front of you far enough out that you could account for the fact that, oh, I see that pedestrian about 100, 200 feet up the street now. Now I need to be thinking, what am I going to do if they step off into the roadway, right or wrong, on my part or their part? What am I going to do if that happens? And when you start kind of what-ifing these situations, and we talk about this in driver training too, you have to look far enough ahead to account for what's going to happen next. Is this car over here on a side street going to pull out in front of me? Is this pedestrian or a little child who might be chasing a ball out into the street that's not paying attention? They don't think about things like that like we do as adults. Are they going to run out in front of me? What am I going to do to prevent that contact from happening, right or wrong?
It's very interesting you say that because I know that we always talk about the highways, but like when I'm driving home, there's always somebody in the middle of the median that decided that they were going to be a hero and run in front of everybody, and so now they're in the middle of the road and they're just there. And so I go through those same things. Like maybe not to the full extent because there's no training and there's no real thinking, you know what I mean? But like it is one of my fears. And so I have noticed more than not that the drivers on the pedestrians on the surface streets are like, well, it doesn't make a difference. Like we're going to cross and we're going to cross. And so people don't think about it. I don't mean to point, but people don't think about it in the context of what you just said. So I can you repeat that again? Because people don't understand that. That is tremendous.
People need to look far enough ahead to account for what could happen when they're driving. So they need to make sure that if they see a pedestrian 100, 200, 300 feet up the street, they got to be thinking to themselves, okay, what if that person does something that I'm not expecting them to do? What am I going to do to react to that to keep from hitting that person if I have to? Again, right or wrong. The pedestrian could be right or the pedestrian could be wrong. I could be right, I could be wrong. But we want to make sure that we do everything we can to keep these kinds of things from happening.
And we don't want to put ourselves into a position. Listen, that pedestrian could be completely in the wrong, but do you want to hit that person and go through all this? No.
And are you willing to live with you just cause seriously bodily harm or death to that person? Even if you're right, it's something that you have to think about.
And the answer is no, and we don't
Exactly.
want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
One of the things that I was just thinking about when we were talking about that is the fact that driving on the shoulder, right? In the context of putting yourself into some form of a position, just like you talked about when it comes to the pedestrians. And I think of the same thing, that when people are on the side of the road and they're having to fix something, and people are on the shoulder and they're blowing down the road, that people's lives can be in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to look at each scenario, and we have to make sure that when we are behind the wheel, that we are cognizant of what we are seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and that we are not being distracted. I come back to something that Trooper Wellman always talked about, which was if you get into the car with someone, you have to make sure that you're willing to put your life in that person's hands,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we have to make sure that the person that is in the passenger seat or in the back seat, and I don't know how many pedestrians have gotten hit because of distracted driving, but these are real things. And so pedestrians are not allowed on the freeway, right?
That's correct.
Correct. They're not allowed.
And is a bicycle allowed on the freeway?
No.
No.
Not allowed. What about a moped?
No.
No.
Not allowed. Motorcycle is allowed,
Motorcycle is allowed.
right? And obviously a car and a truck,
Mm-hmm.
right? And none of these other modes of transportation that people think oh, I'm going to go on the freeway on a skateboard or any none of this type of activity is what needs to be done on the freeway.
That's correct.
It needs to be the motoring public on those freeways, right?
That's correct.
And so, what about the fact of when someone gets pulled over? And then, okay, sometimes this happens, right? Are they supposed to pull to the left lane or the right lane?
They're
Left
supposed-
side. I'm sorry, left side or the right side?
They're supposed to pull to the right side of the road under 44B 267 under the Nevada revised statutes. If you are approached by an emergency vehicle with flashing red lights, you are required to move over to the right side of the road as far right as possible and slow down and stop, either until the emergency vehicle goes by you or they pull up behind you and they're going to conduct business with you, but yes, to the right.
To the right. And the hand should stay on the steering wheel if that happens, right? As the pull over E, I guess, or right? The person that's in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
They shouldn't be moving around and doing all these
Yes,
type
I
of
mean,
things.
when you get stopped by the police, you want to basically be as cooperative and as visible as possible. You don't want to start ducking down, reaching under the seat or whatever. If you put your wallet under the seat for whatever reason, or your purse, or whatever has your identification in it, you can let the officer know when they get up to the car before you start reaching for things, because that's not the only thing that people reach for. When we stop cars, people could be trying to hide something. They could be reaching for a weapon. We don't know. But we as police officers, to make sure that we protect ourselves and we go home at the end of the night, we're going to assume it's probably going to be something dangerous before we're assuming that it's going to be somebody's driver's license. So that being the case, there's nothing wrong with keeping your hands up on the steering wheel so I can see where they are whenever I come up to the car. No problem with that. And then letting me know if you're going to go start reaching for things in the car, just tell me, hey, my registration's in the glove box. Is it okay if I reach for it? My driver's license is underneath my seat in my purse. Is it okay if I reach for it? So there's no confusion. There's no miscommunications about anything that's going on. We both understand each other completely, and we do what we need to do without anybody getting hurt.
And we want to be polite.
Right.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they're not getting behind us because we weren't doing something correct. You know what I mean? And so, and whatever it is, it's not a matter of every single time that you're getting in handcuffs, you're getting, arrested. No, like, listen, I just want to let you know that this isn't what you should be doing, or,
Right.
the education,
Yes.
right? It has to be very prevalent when we're talking to someone, and because we want it in a calm manner as well, right? I mean, right? Would that be?
Yeah,
be the case?
and like I said earlier too, it's we're not making things up. Like, we see you do something that's against the law, yeah, we're going to have a conversation about it. That's our job. That's what we do. And on the side of the road is just not the place to have the argument for it. Whether you agree with me or not, fine. You're entitled to your opinion. If you feel that you didn't do something wrong, and you want to show somebody that you didn't do something wrong, or want to give an explanation as to what's going on, that's what court is for.
Yeah.
You request a trial in front of a judge. You can talk to the DA's office and work something out if you want to, but getting into an argument with a police officer on the side of the road is just going to escalate things into something that they don't need to be. Now, we're trained to basically do what we can to not take things personal, and we don't. So we're going to do the best that we can to stay calm, cool, and collective. But you, as the person that has been stopped by the police, and you start amping yourself up, you may start doing things that you don't realize that you're doing, which leads me to believe that now you're not just the regular person that I'm talking to on the side of the road. You're now becoming violent. You're now becoming somebody who could be a threat to me, and I may have to take different action on you based on your actions. So the best thing to do is just be calm. You don't have to agree with what I'm telling you or the actions, the enforcement actions that I'm taking, but there are avenues to go after that to take care of that, to remedy that. And on the side of the road, getting into an argument with the police is not the way to do it. We don't want to argue with anybody. I like it. When I stop a car for a particular violation, I walk up and I'm like, you know what, Trooper, you are 100% right. I was doing that, and I'm sorry. That goes a long way with me, as compared to somebody completely denying it and saying, I didn't do anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about, even though I know I just saw you do that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having the conversation that we're having on the side of the road because of that. So, again, don't have to agree with me, but be civil.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that, at the end of the day, if the person disagrees with everything that you say, you pulled somebody over, they still have a right.
Yeah.
Go on, tell us.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They have rights. They have rights to go and fight whatever it is that they don't feel it was right for them. Regardless of what we do and what we talk to them or what they were stopped for, they still have the rights to argue that. They still have the rights to go to court and be like, hey, this did not happen because X, Y, and Z. And it gives me a chance to say, well, this is what I saw and everything like that. And that's the right time to fight for something that you believe that did not happen, but not on the side of the road. Because not only you're putting us in danger, now we have to get other resources to come to assist us on why is this person getting out of hand when it was just a simple citation for speeding.
Yeah.
So there's a right place and a right time to do that, and on the side of the road, and it's not on the side of the road.
Yeah, and the only thing I was going to add to that is the fact of that you're on the side of the road, and there's cars or trucks or motorcycles, whatever, buzzing past you at a high rate of speed, and I always come back to, like, that's your office. Most people, they have an office that's behind a building, it's behind a wall, and so they feel safe. And so, unfortunately, you have to feel safe in an environment that, most people don't want to slow down.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to talk about, which is very important, because you brought up the red lights, right? Okay. So, tow truck, highway working vehicle, they generally have the amber lights, right? Fire trucks generally have the red and white, but it doesn't make a difference of the color of light for the move over law.
Right. So for any emergency vehicle that is trying to get driving on the highway, And any vehicle that's in front of them should move over to the right travel lane and come to a stop or reduce their speed if it's safe to do so and pull to the shoulder. That's just for emergency vehicles. It can be from us, from freeway patrol services, medical personnel, firefighters, and I believe tow trucks fall into it too. And now with this law that just came into effect, all those vehicles that I just mentioned are allowed to get to the destination. If they require to use the right shoulder, they can do so by driving on the right shoulder now. Not for the pedestrians,
for the motoring public, they are required to not speed up when they see these type of activities, right? When you see the guy on the side of the road putting out the cones or trying to help, right? That's not the time to go over the speed limit, right? We're supposed to decrease, and then if we can, move over, right?
Yeah. So if you're on a multi-lane highway, you're required to move over, if you can do so safely, to the next adjacent lane. So that means that if, for whatever reason, the emergency vehicle with red, blue, or yellow flashing lights is on the left side or the left shoulder, then you're required to move over one lane to the right if you can do so safely. And when I say do so safely, that means you have enough room where you're not going to cause a problem with another vehicle on the roadway. If they're right next to you, then yeah, you can't really move over, because then you're going to cause a crash if you move over into the other vehicle. You're also required, regardless as to whether or not you move over or not, to reduce your speed. And we're talking a significant amount. We're not saying, okay, reduce your speed by 1 to 2 miles an hour and continue to go by. That means a significant amount. So if you're on the freeway, you might have to reduce your speed 10, 15, 20 miles an hour to make sure that you go by the emergency vehicle or the maintenance vehicle or whatever's on the side of the road, tow truck, safely. But if it's a multi-lane roadway in one direction, you're required to move over if you can do so safely and reduce your speed. If you can't move over, at minimum, you have to reduce your speed.
You know what's cool is that you both know the law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so like, you know, before when you spit out the NRS code and like, you know, like you laugh and joke and you know what I mean, and he doesn't laugh and joke and smile as much. Does that make sense? But the cool thing is that if you said to him, listen, tell me the exact law and the exact number of this exact thing, he would know it.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Just as you would. And so that's what people don't also realize, is that you know the law. Like, it's not just like you're making things up.
Yeah.
Like, you actually know the law. There is a law. This is what it is. And so, all right, we'll get to the next thing. Boy, we could keep talking for hours. Johnny, this is going to be the sleepover Trooper Talk. What do you think of that? This is the last one? Well, that's why it's white. What can I tell you? I come back to that why we're here is we're here because we really love the community we live in. We want to do everything we can to just make sure that everybody goes home and that everybody's safe. And for your job to make sure that all the troopers and everything that you train, you know, that they go home and that they're prepared, you know, it's a tremendous responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that it's really wonderful. You know what I mean? Chelsea, well, Lieutenant Stunkel, right? So her husband is the captain, and we haven't had him come on, but we had Lieutenant Stunkel come on, and they're part of the IPOF. And, you know, I know from talking to her and from her coming on here, the challenges that you face when it comes to getting people to want to join.
Mm-hmm.
And so all I can say is that it's a wonderful organization and that people really care. So let's end with, I know we've been going too long, but it doesn't matter. Let's end one more time. Just tell everybody right here. Tell everybody about the Nevada State Police, and tell everybody that if they want to come and hang out with you, what do they do?
So if you have any interest in the Nevada State Police, you are more than welcome to do ride-alongs with our line officers that we have working the road, troopers working the road. All you have to do is fill out an application. These applications are available at any of our substations. If you have any questions about the job itself, nevadastatepolice.com is where you can go, and there's a lot of information on there. If you're interested in joining, there's an application process that you can go through as well. So take a look at the website. It'll give you a lot of information that you may want to look at.
All right, your turn. Espanol, right? Yeah, Espanol right there. They love that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Ok. Como le dije, si usted está interesado en ser parte de la comunidad y servir con la policía de Nevada, del estado de Nevada, por favor aplique a nevadastatepolice.com, o si quiere hacer un ride-along, puede hacerlo, llena una aplicación en esta misma página. Si tiene preguntas de la academia o de lo que se hace, puede hacer esas preguntas a uno de nuestra gente que está disponible para usted a través del nevadastatepolice.com, o puede ir a nuestra oficina en persona y podemos ayudarle en esa forma. Hay muchas opciones y muchas oportunidades aquí en el estado de Nevada. Aplique ahora.
Yeah, great. I think he said whatever he said, it was perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Spot on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on, and it's really special, and we're going to continue this mission. I'm with you 1,000%, and I'm very excited for what the future holds, and thank you again. Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll wave goodbye at this one, and we'll say see you soon.
See you
See you soon.